Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I keep saying, or I've kept saying in my old videos, that I really want to talk about different topics and that I would make videos about those things, but I don't have time, blah blah blah. And the truth is, I think part of me really feels that for me to talk about these things, I don't know how many people are interested in hearing about introversion, for example, or relationship advice, that kind of thing. But at the same time, I feel like there are people who are interested in hearing about those things, especially when it comes to introversion, because surprise, surprise, I am an introvert. And I think that probably in the past 4 or 5 years is when I realized that there was an actual term for the way that I am. And that was kind of a weight off my shoulders when I realized that that was a thing. And I think that people who feel the same way could probably benefit from having someone like me share their experience as an introvert. So that's what I'm here for. In terms of defining introversion versus extroversion, I think there's a lot of definitions online that you can look up. And while I don't particularly subscribe to the Myers-Briggs personality assessments or all these things, I do feel like they are pretty accurate in many ways, but I fight with it constantly because I do like to stand behind things that I know are based on science and based on evidence, and I don't know, I've read a lot of mixed reviews online about the validity of the Myers-Briggs assessment, and so I don't want to say that I fully 100% stand behind the Myers-Briggs personality traits, but at the same time, reading a lot about it and reading about my personality type, I do feel like it is very fitting for me, and people that have taken the assessment as well in my life feel that the personality type they received is pretty indicative of who they are. So based on that, I've looked at different websites, and there's 2 websites that I've kind of gone back and forth between and reading articles from, and those are Introvert and I forgot what the other one was. I'll put it in the description below, but Introvert is one of the ones that I read a lot of articles from. So today I really wanted to talk about an article that I saw on Introvert that is titled 8 Honest Truths from a Contradictory INFJ. And I identify as an INFJ, which is supposed to be one of the rarest personalities in the world, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how true that is, but I can tell you that the things that define an INFJ are very much what would describe someone like me. And so I identify with that. But let's go through those 8 honest truths, okay? So the first one is I am a people pleaser. This is so true. I think anyone who knows me could tell you that I am a damn people pleaser, which is not a terrible thing, but at the same time, it can be very self-deprecating. And I just find myself in situations where I'm trying so hard to please everybody that I forget about my own needs and I forget about my own well-being, so it's very true of my personality type that I am a people pleaser. Number 2, your emotions are my emotions. INFJs tend to be very empathetic and very intuitive, so I can attest to that in the sense that if I feel someone's genuine, keyword genuine emotions, I feel their emotions just as hard. So if someone I care about is hurting, I hurt, if even a stranger, I literally can watch a commercial of something that's kind of sad, and this has happened many times, and it depresses me for the rest of the day. So I need to be careful and conscientious about what I watch on TV or what I listen to, even music. If you looked at my iPod, you would find that most of the music I have is very upbeat. For the most part, I do have some sad and dark songs, but I don't listen to those very often because I tend to feel that emotion very hard. So it's important for me to stay as positive as I can. But that's the whole thing. Now, the reason I specify genuine is because I can see through the bullshit. So I can see when someone is just trying to get attention, when they're victimizing themselves just for the sake of getting attention from other people, I can see right through that, and I actually feel the opposite of empathetic. I feel very apathetic in that case, because I feel like you're not being genuine and you're just lying to everybody just because you want a little bit of attention. So that's where an INFJ can be contradictory. Like, we can be so loving and so empathetic, but when we see that you're bullshitting us, we have no tolerance for that. And so I become completely apathetic and really could care less if you're crying or you say you're hurting, because at that point I just feel like it's all fake and I don't stand for that shit. So that's why genuine is a very important word for me. Number 3 is what you see isn't always what you get. And the example the author of this article said, that her closest friends often forget that she is an introvert. So sometimes people assume that introverts are very quiet and shy, and that's not always the case. I'm actually pretty friendly and outspoken, and I would say situationally. It definitely depends on the situation. But because of that, people tend to assume that I'm an extrovert, and that's not the case. Even my closest friends, and so what you see is not always what you get. So I may be very animated, very loud at times, and like the life of the party. That doesn't mean that that's who I am all the time. Okay? 4, the door slam isn't an emotional overreaction. So in the world of introversion, the door slam concept is when someone really, like when you're fed up with someone, when you're like, you know what, I can't even deal with you right now. Like, I'm so done with your bullshit. We have what we call the door slam, which means that we are done with you. I'm closing that door. I'm closing that chapter. I'm not talking to you again. I'm done. And that is very real. And I can attest to that. I've done that basically with anyone that has been in my life that I just got fed up with. I close that door. I block them from my phone, from social media, from everything in my life. And I never talk to them again, because in my case, they've crossed a boundary. They've either crossed the boundary of my space, my emotional limits, and really my just, taking advantage of me and of my empathy. So that's when the door slam is very real. It's not an emotional overreaction. It's just that we cannot stand people that take advantage of or cross the boundaries that we set. So it's very much real. Number 5, some door slams are more like door ajars, which I can also attest to. There's times when I've needed to close the door or slightly slam the door on someone, but not with the intent of forever ending that friendship. So I've had those moments with several people where at the time I just needed to walk away from them and take time off and just be done with them. But eventually, I wanted to reestablish the friendship because I felt like, this person is a good person. Maybe just at that time they violated my boundaries and my, whatever. And then now I feel like maybe they've changed, or maybe I want to give them another opportunity to show me that they understand now what my boundaries are and why I set them. So not all door slams are actually door slams. Number 6, I despise small talk. And that is so true. One of the reasons why for myself and other introverts it's really hard to strike up conversations with strangers is because we don't like small talk. I really don't like talking to people about dumb shit that doesn't mean anything and it's just filling silence. I don't like that, because to me it's like, what's the point? Do I really care about what this person thinks of the weather? Do I really care about what this person is wearing? I don't. And so it's really hard for me to strike up conversations with people that I don't know. And so I normally wait for someone to start a conversation with me in order to make that connection. Now, there are times, and this is true for anybody, where you start talking to a stranger and you immediately connect. And it's like, whoa, that's super cool. We're kind of the same person. And so you're able to carry on the conversation onto other topics that are not small talk. And so I think in those scenarios, I don't mind when it starts with a little bit of small talk, but when we realize that we can connect, it turns into something bigger and better. Sorry, I'm fixing my sweater because there's a string sticking out. Number 7, too many interests, so little time. Oh, this is so true for me. I feel like I have so many little interests that I would love to accomplish and do, but it's like at the same time I have responsibilities, and one example of this was, which I have done certain things that I wanted to do, but was not able to continue them because either money or time. But there was a point where I was like, I really want to join a gymnastics class because I've always wanted to do that when I was little, never was able to. And I can do the basic stuff like cartwheels, handstands, whatever, but I wanted to be able to do a back handspring and maybe an aerial and things like that. So I looked up the information, kind of gave up. Then someone told me, hey, those things actually exist for adults. So I looked it up again, found a gym and went. And I went for maybe a good 3 months, and it was awesome, and I enjoyed it so much. And unfortunately I had to stop because it's kind of far away from where I live and it costs money. But at least it was one of those little interests that I had that I wanted to do. I like painting, I like drawing, I like playing piano, I like dancing. I want to do more like public speaking with helping people. I want to make YouTube videos. I mean, there's so many things that I want to do, but it's so hard to just make them priorities and actually do them. So yeah, that's definitely a struggle that I think a lot of us introverts have. And lastly, number 8, no rest for the perfectionist. The article says, I might be a people pleaser, but the hardest person in my life to please is myself. When I invest my time and energy into something, I go all in. I'll spend hours fussing over the tiniest details in order to attain the end result that was so perfectly envisioned in my mind. And when it's not, my stubborn side rears its head. I'll either shut down completely and procrastinate, or obsess and do nothing until it's perfect. I mean, finished. So I can definitely attest to that as well, because I am very much a perfectionist, and I think a lot of the time I'm also very impatient with myself. So I don't like long-term projects. One of the longest things I did, and I did this for myself really, was this painting that I put together of different cartoons that I liked as a child and kind of growing up. And because it was such a big project, it took me like 3 months to finish, but it could have been done sooner. It's just I procrastinated because I would get so bored of like, oh my God, this is not perfect, and like it's stressing me out, and I have to like redo this drawing and redo that and da-da-da. So it can be stressful, and I think like the article said, people like us, we want to make sure everything's perfect. So like an example that I can give you for work at my job is when I have to do a presentation, I kind of do procrastinate because I feel like the pressure to get it done helps me to get it done, but I also will go over it. I will go over the presentation again and again and again until I feel like it's perfect, it makes sense, and people will understand the material I'm presenting. So it is a struggle. And even though I have people that will be like, dude, it's already fine, like you don't need to add anything to it, it's like, well, I feel like I can add this, I can do this, and I can do that. And it's the same with everything else I do at work. It's like there's so much I want to do, so much I want to improve, but I feel like I have no time, and sometimes it's exhausting, so it is a struggle. So these are things that us introverts go through. I'm not saying that other people don't go through these things, because there are levels to everything, and everyone has a little bit of extroversion and a little bit of introversion and different levels for each. So we all go through these things, but I think it's important for you guys who are introverts to be able to identify with other introverts in the world, so you're not alone, and the things that you do, the way that you do things, it's just who you are. And so instead of putting yourself down for them, embrace them and find ways to make wonderful things out of them. And we do need all types of people in the world. We need all that diversity. So having just one type of person would never have amounted to anything. We would have never been able to create all the wonderful things in the world that we have had it not been for the differences in personalities and ways that we view things, creativity, stamina, and work ethic, etc. So yay! I hope this is a cool video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's kind of all over the place because I'm just improvising. There's no script to this, but I think that's what I like, is the being genuine with these kind of topics and just bring up more stuff that I can talk to you guys about. So if you like this, let me know if you want to talk about or want me to talk about more introverted related topics or other things, let me know. I'd be so excited and happy to do it. And yeah, until next time, thank you for watching. Bye.